Walking down the street, feeling kind of neat, when the wind came out your butt and blew my wig off. Oh, it was a sight to see, my hair flying in the breeze, 'cause the wind came out your butt and blew my wig off. People started laughing, they couldn't believe their eyes as my wig flew through the sky. Oh, what a surprise. I tried to catch it, but it slipped right through my hands, 'cause the wind came out your butt and now it's somewhere in the land. Oh, wind came out your butt and blew my wig off. Baby, you drive like shit. Did you see that car that you almost hit? I'd rather take the bus instead. Riding with you, I'm gonna end up dead. Don't ask me if I need a lift. Baby, you drive like shit. She just ran through always stop. I ain't trying to get stopped by the cops. Baby, why the hell did I let you drive? It's a miracle that you're still alive. Don't ask me if I need a lift. Baby, you drive like shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Good girl is driving. Watch out, my girl drives like shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. My girl is driving. Watch out, my girl drives like shit. Whooping ain't over. Heard you think you're tough. Gotta let you know I will fuck you up. I whoop that ass, talking all that shit, spank that ass till you tap like a bitch. Though I ain't playing, I'm here to kick ass. Whoop that ass, it's time to punch face. I'm the one who brings you pain in the ring. I whoop that ass until the bell rings. Already know that I do not play. Throw a punch like I'm cutting down hay. I whoop that ass every single night. Spank that ass till they stop the fight. I'll tell you the story of a man, a radioactive tip in his hand. His hand grew 10 times its normal size to help him get his money on time. He knew if the bitch was telling a lie, which was 100% of the time. Superpowers to make a bitch listen, thinking her naked with sex-ray vision. Sweep a police station in a single bound, slapping bitches down to the fucking ground. His name was famous across the land. They called him the pimp named Superhand. Oh shit, yeah, his pimp named Superhand. He had powers no other pimp had. Oh fuck yeah, his pimp named Superhand. That motherfucker was super bad. Asking for dinner ain't asking for much. You had one job and still fucked it up. Sometimes you gotta learn respect. I use my pimp hand to correct. It's called a big slap. Slap. Come get your face clapped. hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
What's up, fam? Glad to have you back one more again. I am your host, School for Justice. Thank you to all of my supporters, all of my new subscribers, all the activity online. I am definitely engaging with you, connecting with you, and appreciate you more and more. We're gonna grow. We're gonna grow around this channel. Excuse my camera. I know it's a little blur. I am working on my equipment. Has some technical difficulties tonight, but I'll get that worked out for you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our content. We have a good cop that's going to expose a bad cop, their own co-worker. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Sit back, relax, get your popcorn, get your wine, whatever you may need, stretch your legs out, and let's enjoy the show. All right, let's see, bring it on up for you. Give me 1 second here. And we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers use of force, officer obstruction, and official misconduct, and is brought to us by Cameras Everywhere's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On July 26, 2021, Officer David Lance Dukes of the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety responded to a call regarding a man banging on a townhouse door, allegedly with a gun in his waistband. When he arrived on the scene, Officer Dukes immediately drew his gun and ordered 58-year-old disabled man Clarence Gaillard and his cousin Mario Julian, who were standing in the parking lot outside the townhouse, to the ground.
Hey, let me see your hands. Bert, get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground right here. Get on the ground. You, burgundy shirt, get on the ground. Over here. On the ground. On the ground. Get on the ground. Do you not listen? Get on the ground.
Mr. Gaillard attempts to comply with Officer Dukes' orders by getting onto his hands and knees, but Officer Dukes forcefully uses his foot to attempt to force Mr. Gaillard all the way to the ground, causing his head to violently hit the pavement. In the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, the Supreme Court explained that the Fourth Amendment requires a police officer's use of force to be quote-unquote reasonable under the circumstances, and identified 3 factors that courts should consider when determining whether an instance of force was reasonable. These factors include, quote, the severity of the crime at issue, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others, whether he is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. More recently, in the 2016 case of Armstrong versus Village of Pinehurst, the Fourth Circuit, which includes South Carolina, held that, quote, non-compliance with lawful orders justifies some use of force, but the level of justified force varies based on the risks posed by the resistance. Even purely passive resistance can support the use of some force, but the level of force an individual's resistance will support is dependent on the factual circumstances underlying that resistance. In this situation, the severity of the crime at issue was limited at best, although Officer Dukes claimed to believe that Mr. Gaillard had a gun at the beginning of the interaction. However, at the time Officer Dukes used force against Mr. Gaillard, it was clear that he did not pose an immediate threat, as he had raised both of his empty hands above his head before getting on his hands and knees. Finally, Mr. Gaillard was not resisting arrest in any way. In fact, he was attempting to comply with Officer Dukes' commands when the force was employed. Under these circumstances, it is highly likely that a court would conclude that Officer Dukes' use of force against Mr. Gaillard was neither justified nor reasonable.
Is there a gun back there? By that truck.
All right, so y'all hit that like button as you coming on in. Hit that like button and subscribe as you bust up in the door. Greatly appreciate you. All right, the fact check this content here So we got a disabled man. The officer was called on the scene because they was told there was somebody out there with some fire, uh, a pistol, okay, beating on somebody's door or something of that nature. Out there, they're in an apartment complex, a residential, complex, and somebody was out there beating or banging on somebody else's door with some heat, with a pistol. So when the officer pull up, it's two guys standing outside as we just saw. And he comes out like a wild maniac, like a wild man, drawing out, get out on the ground, get out on the ground. Hold up. You ain't investigated, you ain't called no backup, you have done absolutely none of that to identify who the suspect is. But you bust up in the scene just on attack and in kill mode. So let's just see fact checking, taking it step by step, play by play, and let's see what it's gonna go at from here. Like what point is he trying to prove and what results are we gonna have after this crime scene?
No gun. You're not listening, dude. Bro, you got a gun on you, man?
No, I ain't got no gun.
All right,
I
I'm
don't
just
own no gun. I don't own
Turn
no
back over. Paul, are you watching him say?
Okay, so now we do have a backup there. As you see, it's a female officer. She is looking around. It look like they're looking for a weapon. That's what they're looking for right now, a weapon. So, and he got the disabled man. Come to find out, this is a disabled 58-year-old man who lives in the complex, a resident, a tenant there in the apartment. He got him down on the ground, just went full force, full blast at attack immediately as soon as he saw him standing outside, basically in front of his own door. So we witnessed him slam him to the ground, handcuff him, asking him does he got the fire, and it looks like they're looking around for the weapon or the pistol at this moment.
He had something.
I ain't own no gun.
The door's unlocked, the car, so.
No, he was right here. Watch him. Go watch him. There it is.
I don't own no gun.
All right, that's what he had. All right, who's the complainant? All right, get him up.
Put your leg up.
25 city, got one time.
Alright. Put your leg that way so you
I'm
can stand
disabled.
up.
All right, listen, I'm about to help you. Hold on. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right,
Yep.
listen.
Yep, they slammed my head
Listen.
down on the cement. Yep.
Go back inside. Go back in the house. Go back in the
Yep.
house. Ain't nobody talking to you.
I got head drummer.
Go back in the house.
Yep. Y'all bust my head down. Yeah, I've been in an accident. Yep. Y'all bust my head down. You threw me down.
I sure did. You
And,
wasn't listening.
yeah. No, it ain't. You ain't to throw me down like that. I'm disability.
Okay.
I got head problem. Yep. You threw-
Go back in the house. Nobody's talking to you. Well, you need to be talking to him. You need to be questioning eyewitnesses to identify the suspect and find out the correct person that has the pistol or the weapon on the report and the call that you received. So you tell the actual resident or the tenant that lives there to go back in the house. Nobody's talking to you, but you need to be talking to him, questioning eyewitnesses who can identify the suspect. Now, what did you pick up off the ground? That looked like a four-way wrench. The tools you use to jack your car up or put a spare on to change out the spare tire. But does that look like a pistol or some heat to you all? So that's real clear. You automatically have the wrong guy and the wrong suspect. And yes, the gentleman has complained that you bust his head, hit his head down to the concrete, slamming him to the ground. A 58-year-old disability or disabled man who draws disability. This is going all wrong from the moment you pulled up. This is way out of code, out of whack, out of order, and not in protocol or proper procedure.
Threw me down. Yep. You threw me down. You threw me down. Yep. You bust my head down on the cement. Yep. You bust my head.
All right, let me tell you what happened.
His forehead.
You bust my head down on the cement.
He was in front of the car when I came up. He was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. I had him at gunpoint. And he's over here doing something like this.
You slammed my head. You slammed my
What
head
he was doing is
down
putting
on
this
the
up behind the
cement.
tire. So he comes over right here. He got his hands in his pockets. I'm telling him, let me see your hands, let me see your hands, let me see
Why
your
you
hands.
bust my head?
He wasn't listening.
No, it ain't.
He got the like this right here,
You grabbed me.
and we went onto the
And
ground.
you bust my head.
Officer Dukes claims that when Mr. Gaillard was walking from behind the white vehicle, he believed that he had a gun and repeatedly told him to drop it. Officer Dukes also alleges that once Mr. Gaillard stepped in front of the vehicle, he had his hands in his pockets and repeatedly ignored requests to show his hands. However, the body cam footage shows that Mr. Gaillard actually had his hands above his head, and that while Officer Dukes repeatedly screamed at Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, he never asked him to drop a gun or show his hands, likely because Mr. Gaillard's hands were visible throughout the encounter. An incident report filed by Corporal Brandy Smith, who was also on the scene, states that while Mr. Gaillard was walking from the passenger side of the vehicle, he appeared to have his hands in his pockets, but that once he reached the front of the vehicle, he took his hands out of his pockets. Corporal Smith's report also states that Officer Dukes was giving loud verbal commands for Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, but makes no mention of a gun or any
Okay, so Mr. Gaillard hands are fully up. I'm sorry about that. Mr. Gaillard hands are fully up. So when the officer rolls up and runs out the car on full blast, get on the ground, get on the ground. This man is standing there fully surrendered, hands totally empty. There's no weapon, no fire, no pistol, no heat, absolutely nothing, no personal belongings, fully surrendered. No personal belongings, empty-handed. When you first roll up, this man has absolutely nothing. So as we continue to fact check the content, we'll see what the officer states on his report and how the incident went down. Absolutely nothing on his hands or in his hands, completely surrendered. We see the content right here. Make sure you all smash that like button coming in, smash that like button coming out. I greatly appreciate your support.
hands were visible throughout the encounter. An incident report filed by Corporal Brandy Smith, who was also on the scene, states that while Mr. Gaillard was walking from the passenger side of the vehicle, he appeared to have his hands in his pockets, but that once he reached the front of the vehicle, he took his hands out of his pockets. Corporal Smith's report also states that Officer Dukes was giving loud verbal commands for Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, but makes no mention of a gun or any commands to drop a gun or show his hands. It's also important to note that when Officer Dukes was reporting what happened, he did not explain the method he used to take Mr. Gaillard down. Corporal Smith's report claimed that when Mr. Gaillard did not get completely on the ground, Officer Dukes pushed him to the ground by placing his right foot on the middle of Mr. Gaillard's back. However, the incident report filed by Sergeant Aquel Polador states that Officer Dukes, quote, jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard on the back of his neck with his foot. Although it is unclear from the body camera footage whether Officer Dukes' foot landed on Mr. Gaillard's neck or upper back, it is certain that the version of events Officer Dukes explained to his commanding officer did not align with the body camera footage or the reports filed by his colleagues.
That's right.
We saw it land on his back. So when the man he tells him to hit the ground, the officer runs up on him, slams him to the ground, right? He pushes his foot dead in his back. We're going to go back just to reiterate. All right. We're going to go back, and here it is. It should be right up in here. Right there. Bam. Bam, bam, bam. This man is on his hands and knees like an animal because you're attacking him physically to get down on the ground after he was already surrendered and submitted when you pulled up in his property, because he's a tenant there in the apartment complex. He lives there. They probably the ones that called you. You ain't asked any questions. You haven't investigated, built any eyewitnesses, nothing of that nature. And when the man is getting down on the ground as you command, your foot, boom, is dead on top of his back. And you slam him in the back, kick him dead in the back.
In the 1989 case of Graham
That's
versus
what
Connor,
happened.
his hands and knees, but Officer Dukes forcefully uses his foot to attempt to force Mr. Gaillard all.
You forcefully use your foot. But then the incident report says what? Something completely different. We're going to go back up to part. Give it 1 second. 1 second here. We're going to go back up to part. And it should be right up in here. Incident report.
His hands out of his pockets. Corporal Smith's report also states that Officer Dukes was giving loud verbal commands for Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, but makes no mention of a gun or any commands to drop a gun or show his hands. It's also important to note that when Officer Dukes was reporting what happened, he did not explain the method he used to take Mr. Gaillard down. Corporal Smith's report claimed that when Mr. Gaillard did not get completely on the ground, Officer Dukes pushed him to the ground by placing his right foot on the middle of Mr. Gaillard's back. However, the incident report filed by Sergeant Aquel Polador states that Officer Dukes, quote, jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard on the back of his neck with his foot. Although it is unclear from the body camera footage whether Officer Dukes' foot landed on Mr. Gaillard's neck or upper back, it is certain that the version of events Officer Dukes explained.
So the incident report is inaccurate. It's just what we saw. The video camera doesn't lie. And it was to his back, as we just witnessed. So that came from the sergeant. So in other words, everything in writing up until this point is lies, is false, is inaccurate. Why? So this officer can cover his own tracks. He knows he's out of compliance. He knows it's brutality. He knows he's out of protocol. And so therefore is to completely cover his own ass with nothing but lies in writing on the false police incident report.
To his commanding officer did not align with the body camera footage or the reports filed by his colleagues.
That's right. On the cement. Because my
Yeah, your head did hit the cement.
Right, because you bust me down on the cement.
Where's the complainant?
You bust my head down on the cement.
Right here?
You bust my head. You bust my head.
Where's the complainant?
Bust my head down.
We're trying to get the name of the complainant.
You
So
bust my head.
What are we doing? Guess Sam's gonna check him out.
Ain't
Nothing about here on the press charges on.
So, sir, the victim who, is complaining about being injured and that the officer bust his head to the ground. We hear you. I totally feel you. I understand where you're coming from, but put it in writing. It doesn't matter what you say out your mouth. You fire their ass up with the pen and paper. You place it in writing. That's the power in the pen. And you go through the chains over their head to the local internal affairs and take it from there to handle the situation, to get some answers, to get justice. So you can gap all day, you can whine and complain, and I feel your pain, but we have to make the complaint action. You got to put it in action. You got to make it happen. And you got to go up there and put it in writing. Okay? So I just want to throw that out there for a nugget.
I'm not sure.
Take him out of cuffs right now. I mean, because that's what we got.
You have to use your force.
Yeah,
No doubt.
yeah.
Slam my head down.
Dude, I didn't know what his
You
intention
use
was.
the force. You need to look at the camera.
Yup. The officer did wrong. Slam my head down. Bust my forehead. Damn right. You're gonna pay me for that.
Mayor, I'm gonna take that in the evidence of what he had.
What?
Well, I mean, his, that's the reasons I did what I did. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from.
No gun or nothing.
Because when he was behind the truck, I couldn't see what he was doing, and I didn't know where
There ain't nothing there.
that went. If it was still in his pockets when he come around that car with his hands in his pockets.
These dogs on.
On camera.
Yeah, a
All
dog
right, that's
stick.
fine.
A dog stick.
So he can come out of cuffs.
Yes. Take him out of hand.
Yeah, he can come out.
Oh, Lord.
Sir, you have the wrong guy and you know it. Now that's the cousin, the guy in the white t-shirt, that's the cousin that comes on out. But now we're gonna see how this is gonna go down. After he tells him, take the handcuffs off of him, you know you don't have nothing legit, nothing to stick, no evidence to link this man to the activity of any crime or any public intoxication or disorderly conduct or any calls or complaints that you had to come out there in the first place. Right? So, you know you have the wrong guy and you have not found the correct suspect by not properly investigating. These people are trying to hip you and tell you, and you go off on them and tell them to get back in the house. Ain't nobody talking to you. Well, what you out there for? You ain't solved nothing. You haven't got to the bottom of it, or we haven't got the answer or any conclusion to the purpose for being there. No point at all. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen next. Y'all check it out with me.
You mind looking? Hi. Good, how are you? What's going on?
Officer slammed my forehead down in the cement.
Okay.
In the wrong for that.
And as we see, they call the ambulance out here on the scene so they can take a medical report. That's very important. You know, you've been physically violated and attacked, physically assaulted and abused by authority. So make sure you always get a medical report as well before you go to internal affairs, file the complaint, and place everything in writing. Then it's a step and a protocol of procedures you go through to get to, the chain of command, to get to the top head superior so you can get results and answers.
Yeah. Listen.
Can I get a call from you?
I don't have one now. We don't have one.
What's your
And this guy right here in the white t-shirt, this is the cousin. He's the cousin to the disabled man that got slammed to the ground and got his head busted. The 58-year-old disabled man. This is his cousin right here in the white t-shirt. Now check out how this finna go down and what he's finna do, how he's reacting or dealing with the situation and what just happened to his older cousin.
Don't give us cards.
Okay, what's your badge number?
1059.
Let me see if I can get my phone. Hold on.
Hold on, we have cards. Okay. Thank you.
Let me see if I can get my phone. Hold on.
Hold on. We have cards. Okay.
I'm rewinding it back just a tad so we can make sure we don't miss this right here. It's kind of important. It's important.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
All right, cousin walking up
Can I get a card from you?
I don't have one now. We
Okay,
don't have one.
what's your
They
badge
don't
number?
give us cards.
Okay, what's your badge number?
1059.
Let me see if I can get my phone. Hold on.
Hold on. We have cards. Okay. Thank you.
So check out. The sister saves the day. And I wanted to play that back. Rewind, take that hook back, rewind that hook back. It's very important what the cousin just did. So this is the cousin to the 58-year-old disabled man who just got slammed to the ground, head busted by the police for absolutely nothing. He walks up to that officer and asks him, "What's your name and badge number? What's your card? Or give me a card. You have a card I can receive." "We don't have a card." He said, "Well, hold on, let me go get my phone." So dude in the white t-shirt, cousin, we're gonna call him cousin in the white t-shirt, "Well, let me go," he's leaving to go get his phone so he can come back and get his name and badge number because the officer said he ain't got no card. And the sister saves the day right here. And she says, "Yeah, hold up, man. We do have cards." And as she's handing him a card, look how she's looking at her fellow co-worker, her fellow partner, her fellow officer. This is her co-worker. And she already sees what? He's full of shit. He's making up his own rules. He's not enforcing the law. He thinks he is the law. So she's already hit, she hit. She peeped game. And so she gonna put his ass on blast. Let's continue to see what happens next.
When Mr. Julian asks Officer Dukes for a business card, Officer Dukes claims they are not issued cards by their department. However, Sergeant Polidor immediately corrects Officer Dukes, states that they do have cards, and provides Mr. Julian with the information he requested. If it was concluded that Officer Dukes intentionally lied to Mr. Julian in an attempt to avoid accountability for his actions, it is possible that he could be convicted of 2 common law crimes under South Carolina law: obstruction of justice and official misconduct. In the 1997 case of State versus Lyles Gray, a Court of Appeals in South Carolina upheld convictions for both of these offenses against an officer in the Camden Police Department for her conduct during a criminal investigation. The court explained that, quote, "Under common law obstruction of justice, it is an offense to do any act which prevents, obstructs, impedes, or hinders the administration of justice," and that, quote, "Misconduct in office occurs when persons in public office fail to properly and faithfully discharge a duty imposed by law. In this situation, the court concluded that the officer obstructed justice and committed misconduct of justice."
Okay, let's reread that. Misconduct is go back just a tad right here.
Offenses against an officer in the Camden Police Department for her conduct.
Finding that threat is not an essential eliminate for committing the crime of common law obstruction of justice. So in other words, the cousin that comes on the scene and asks for a business card, you cannot charge him for obstruction because, first of all, there was nothing to obstruct. You did not charge the original man that you handcuffed and detained. You released him and let him go out the handcuffs, right? We saw that. We saw all that. You couldn't bring nothing to him to say, and even if he had a weapon or had some fire, he could have been definitely, a firearm owner. He could be a registered owner. So if you didn't see him in the act of actually drawing out on somebody, threatening to hurt somebody, do bodily harm, or use the weapon on someone, then at this point he could have been a registered owner. It could be totally legit. So now we're going through the codes and we're going through the guidelines to see, according to the law, obstruction of justice just definitely can't happen.
During a criminal investigation. The court explained that, quote, "Under common law obstruction of justice, it is an offense to do any act which prevents, obstructs, impedes, or hinders the administration of justice," and that
under common law obstruction of justice, it is an offense to do any act which prevents obstruction, impedes or hinders the administration of justice. So we have to understand what that means, people. You got to understand the laws. You got to know them and know how to use them. That if you're in a situation, you know someone in a situation, your loved ones, your children, your family, friends, you got to know how to apply this to you and what it means in your life to use it for your power and use your freedom and your rights.
It is an offense to do any act which prevents, obstructs, impedes, or hinders the administration of justice, and that, quote, misconduct in office occurs when persons in public office fail to properly and faithfully discharge a duty imposed by law. In this situation, the court concluded that the officer obstructed justice and committed misconduct in office by failing to interview witnesses after her daughter was identified as a suspect, obtaining a false arrest warrant for another suspect, and withholding evidence. While Officer Dukes' lie about whether the department issues identification cards did not rise to the same level of misconduct, given the broad definition of both of these offenses, it is still possible that he could be convicted if charged. However, it is important to note that while some states legally require officers to provide ID to citizens upon request, South Carolina law does not place this obligation on officers. Additionally, many police departments have policies requiring that officers identify themselves, but the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety's policy is not publicly available, and it is unclear whether their policy adheres to any form of officer identification guidelines.
Yeah.
Brandon, he can get his stuff off the car.
Dukes, will you say that one more?
10:59.
Okay.
After Mr. Gaillard was treated by EMS, he and Mr. Julian were allowed to leave. 2 days after the incident, Officer Dukes was fired from the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety for violating the department's use of force policies, which, as stated before, are not publicly available. On August 20th,
You know why he was fired? Because of the Good Samaritan, the sister who saved the day. The other officer, his fellow co-worker, reported his ass. She eyewitnessed it herself, what took place, and she had her own people's back. Salute to Sister Officer for doing the right thing, period. And so his ass was fired, terminated, off the police force, out the department, and was definitely, disciplinary action was taken to the max and to the fullest. We're in South Carolina, y'all. State of South Carolina. They're in that county.
Safety for violating the department's use of force policies, which, as stated before, are not publicly available. On August 25th, 2021, former Officer Dukes was charged with first-degree assault and battery, which could carry a sentence of up to 10 years in prison. As of the date of this episode, Mr. Gaillard is represented by an attorney, but he has not yet taken any legal action against Officer Dukes or the department. Overall, former Orangeburg Officer Dukes gets an F for physically assaulting Mr. Gaillard for no apparent reason, blatantly lying about the nature of the interaction in his police report, and for making a concerted effort to avoid being held accountable for his ridiculous antics. At no point during this encounter was Mr. Dukes in any danger, and it is clear that his violent actions were motivated by his ego, not officer or civilian safety. There was absolutely no legitimate excuse for shoving Mr. Gaillard's face into the pavement when it was plainly obvious that he was attempting to surrender. And this is exactly the type of conduct that has sparked nationwide unrest regarding members of law enforcement. Mr. Dukes' feeble attempts to explain his actions and manipulate the facts of the encounter only add to his incredulous and insidious behavior, and his conduct was nothing short of unacceptable. I commend the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety for immediately firing Mr. Dukes and pursuing criminal charges against him. And if there were a lower grade than an F, he's certainly...
Criminal charges was brought against him for assault. The law applies to everyone. The rules apply to all. No one is superior or above it. Law enforcement, your job is to do just that. Set the example by leading and by exercising or enforcing the law. But you are not the law, and you're definitely not above it. So not only was he terminated and fired, but he was charged and arrested This is his mugshot. We're in South Carolina, they're in that county. This is his mugshot for physically assaulting a 58-year-old disabled man for no reason.
Deserves that. Sergeant Polidor gets an A+ for remaining truthful and objective throughout the encounter, ensuring that Mr. Julian was given the necessary information to follow up on the incident, and for maintaining a calm, collected, and professional attitude throughout the interaction. Although it cannot be proven with any degree of certainty, I suspect that Sergeant Polidor was highly involved in the Orangeburg Department's decision to fire and charge Mr. Dukes, and the testimony that she offered in her incident report likely played a vital role in making certain that he was held accountable for his actions. Officers who witness acts of misconduct are often placed in a position where they must consider whether reporting that misconduct is worth the potential damage to their career that could arise from pursuing accountability for the actions of their colleagues. And it is all too common to see members of law enforcement justify the actions of their peers in any way they can to avoid facing the repercussions of speaking out against them. This notion was on full display in this very interaction when Sergeant Meyer fist bumped Mr. Dukes for an appropriate use of force without knowing any of the details beyond what Mr. Dukes had told him. I commend Sergeant Polidor for having the courage and conviction to hold Mr. Dukes accountable for his actions, and I sincerely hope that her actions inspire other officers who witness misconduct to come forward and do the same within their department. As for Mr. Gaillard and Mr. Julian, I cannot rightfully issue a grade to individuals whose actions were purely dictated by the conduct of the officers on the scene. Nothing the pair did was uncivil, and the two obeyed all the commands of the officers to the best of their ability without knowing the context of the encounter. It could certainly be argued that both Mr. Gaillard and Mr. Julian were both victims of police misconduct, one by way of physical violence and the other by an attempt to avoid accountability. It should be noted that Mr. Julian made a legitimate effort to gather then Officer Dukes' personnel information, presumably in an effort to file a complaint against him, and I commend him for sensing that Mr. Dukes' actions were unlawful and doing what he could to hold him accountable. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments.
Y'all, let me tell you something. This was not, first of all, the sergeant, the lady who reported this guy, this wasn't the first time she's seen this. And he had the audacity to do it in her face because she's his superior. She's a sergeant. She is his superior. So therefore, this is not the first time she has seen this type of behavior. I guarantee you from that officer. Now ex-officer / criminal. Glad to have you here. I'm here to raise awareness, spread information, educate, empower. We have this going on every single day in our country. Police here in America and in our lives, all over the world, technically. You have to understand the difference of abuse of power and law enforcement to bring order, law, and control, and to help you protect and serve, and to help you exercise your rights, and someone who's actually violating them. Until next time, I'm glad to have you. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. I am your host, Kenny Jackson, at School for Justice, where we will live, conquer police brutality, and speak truth to power. Until next time, salute. Let's speak truth to power. Peace out, fam.